Dodge, best built, best backed American cars.
Take your case to the People's Court tomorrow at 7:30.
From ABC News, this is the Weekend Report. Now from our Washington headquarters, here's Tom Gerald.
Good evening. This was Presidential Election Day in El Salvador, with hopes held high that the winning candidate might do something to halt the 4.5-year-old civil war, which has now claimed 50,000 lives. 8 candidates were running, but only 2 were considered favorites: Roberto Dobison, who vows to crush the leftist guerrillas, and Jose Duarte, who wants to negotiate with them. Election Day was chaotic for many, especially in guerrilla-controlled areas, as our Latin American Bureau Chief Ann Garrels reports.
No one expected there to be any voting in Jucuapa, but even though the guerrillas opened fire just as the polls opened up, people here didn't pay any attention. They voted anyway. In nearby Chinameca, people tried to vote, but when the firing between the army and the guerrillas got really heavy, they ran for cover. An election official declared the voting suspended. No one even tried in El Triunfo, but then the guerrillas were right in town. Overall, it was not the guerrillas, but the system which really got in the way. Ballot boxes arrived late or never at all. The voting list didn't match the voters, and neither the voters nor the officials could figure out where people were supposed to go. What had been hailed as a fraud-proof system turned out to be almost voter-proof. Officials in Nueva Concepcion finally just threw up their hands. They allowed anyone to vote anywhere. But if the system failed the voters didn't fail the system. They showed a perseverance hard to imagine. They walked miles when there wasn't any transport, and most refused to take no for an answer, going from one place to another and to yet another. Of those who wanted to vote, as many as 30% couldn't.
I'd characterize it as, right now it's a real mess.
But by the time the polls closed tonight, there were people who still hadn't been able to vote. They wanted to, but the army told them to go home. While all the parties say they're disgusted with these elections, most agree that it's just too expensive, too much trouble to go through it all over again. As for the results, maybe, just maybe, they'll be ready by the middle of the week. Ann Garrels, ABC News, San Salvador.
The Central Election Commission in El Salvador has declared that despite the problems, the result of today's voting will stand. And if no candidate gets a majority, a runoff election will be held in a month between the 2 leaders.
You're looking at the unexpected granola bar. Unexpected.
Unexpectedly moist. Not crumbling. Quaker makes it chewy.
Quaker Chewy granola bars.
A granola bar with chocolate chips?
Quaker makes it moist.
You can certainly see the difference in a Quaker Chewy granola bar, but it's a lot more fun to taste it. Now in 2 new flavors, peanut butter and chocolate chip, and chunky nut and raisin.
It's delicious.
IBM introduces PC Junior, a bright little addition to the family. Junior comes with bright computer ideas, like a keyboard that doesn't need a cord. You can get easy-to-use software like word processing, games and graphics your kids won't believe, plus a starting price you won't believe. And with easy-to-add options, Junior can grow up real fast. PC Junior, new from IBM.
Gary Hart broke a 2-week string of losses today when he finally picked up his first victory since so-called Super Tuesday. It happened in Montana, where Hart defeated Walter Mondale in Democratic caucuses, winning 49% of the vote to 36% for Mondale and 5% for Jesse Jackson. More important than the raw vote, Hart won 11 of Montana's convention delegates to 8 for Mondale. None of the candidates campaigned in person in Montana because of major upcoming races in Connecticut this Tuesday and New York a week from Tuesday. Mondale and Hart today were competing for the important New York Jewish vote, while Jackson was in Connecticut. We have 3 reports. First, Josh Mankiewicz.
Walter Mondale got a reception that was both surprising and less than enthusiastic tonight when he spoke to a Jewish group here in New York.
Walter F. Mondale.
At one point during his speech, protesters held up a banner criticizing Mondale for his part in the Carter administration's sale of F-15 aircraft to Saudi Arabia, a foreign policy move that Israel fought against and which Mondale says he personally opposed. But if this crowd was unhappy with Mondale on the F-15 sale, it warmed up when Mondale took on Gary Hart.
He's going to tell you he's always been for the transfer of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. He will not tell you that 5 days ago he was opposed to it.
Earlier today, Mondale looked for votes both at a church in Harlem and at a delicatessen on the Upper West Side, an area where Gary Hart is expected to do well. Mondale will make day trips this week to upstate New York and to Connecticut, but the campaign will return to this city and to the local TV news here every night. Josh Mankiewicz, ABC News, with the Mondale campaign in New York City.
This is Chris Bury with the Hart campaign. While Mondale was booed, Gary Hart drew a warm response before the same Jewish group when he attacked the F-15 sale to Saudi Arabia.
I am proud to stand here tonight and to tell you that I resisted that pressure and voted against that aircraft sale.
Hart again promised to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
I support the traditional position of Israel on Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
Hart apologized to another Jewish organization last week for what he called an unauthorized letter from his Senate office favoring negotiations before moving the embassy. Mondale called the episode a flip-flop, and over the weekend, Hart counterattacked with a new TV commercial.
Their platform promised to move our embassy to Jerusalem. After 4 years of the Carter-Mondale administration, the promise remained unfulfilled.
Hart and Mondale split the Jewish vote in the Illinois and Florida primaries. But here in New York, where an estimated 25% of the Democrats are Jewish, it is a far more powerful voting bloc. Chris Bury, ABC News, with the Hart campaign in New York.
This is Kenneth Walker. Jackson started his campaign for the Connecticut and New York primaries with a tour of the slum housing project in Bridgeport. Starting today, Jackson plans to spend several nights this week sleeping in projects like these.
That's why during the course of these few weeks we shall stay in the slums with the people, eat with them, and sleep with them, and share with them, and challenge the Democratic Party and the entire political process to come down where the people are.
Jackson thinks the issues of the poor and unemployed will favor him in the upcoming primaries, and at every stop during the day, he suggested the Democratic frontrunners are less concerned about them.
If they want to raise the military budget over and against that Reagan has already raised it, we cannot at once have a rise in military budget, a rise in deficit, and have enough money left to begin to end these slums.
In a Democratic campaign where all the conservative candidates have been rejected by the voters, Jackson clearly plans a strategy where he paints himself as the only true leftist in the race. Kenneth Walker, ABC News, with the Jackson campaign in Stanford.
In an interview with Newsweek magazine to be published tomorrow, presidential counselor Edwin Meese says he has repaid a $15,000 loan to his wife from a friend who was later given a government job. Meese has shown Newsweek 2 certified checks totaling $15,000 that he says represents repayment of that loan. Meese failed to list the loan on his financial disclosure forms, which has threatened his nomination as Attorney General.
Make your hands soft like your face. Make your moisturizer long-lasting Lubriderm. Make your elbows smooth like your face. Make your moisturizer emollient-rich Lubriderm. Make your legs silky like your face. Make your moisturizer long-lasting Lubriderm. Make your knees soft like your face. Make your moisturizer fast-penetrating Lubriderm. Make your whole body beautiful like your face. Make your moisturizer long-lasting Lubriderm.
The sleek shape makes this car handle like a dream. You'll need only 11 horsepower to maintain a speed of 50 miles per hour. You're going to love the shape.
Based on a survey of owner-reported problems during the first 3 months of use, Ford Motor Company is building the highest quality cars and trucks of any U.S. manufacturer.
You're gonna love the quality Ford. Quality is job one.
I love it.
In Lebanon today, the French peacekeeping forces began pulling out. France stationed 1,250 men in Lebanon and lost 86 lives in the futile effort. Today, the first 200 French troops departed, and others will be pulled out in about a week. They're following the U.S., British, and Italian peacekeepers who have already gone home. Don Klatstrup reports.
The last peacekeepers began moving out this morning. Trucks loaded with weapons and other equipment moving slowly onto a ferry boat. French troops pulling down and packing up all the things they brought with them when they arrived in Lebanon a year and a half ago. The pullout of France's 1,250 soldiers will take several days. Their positions along Beirut's Green Line, dividing the Muslim and Christian sectors of the city, are to be turned over to forces designated by Lebanese authorities.
I think that it is not good for Lebanon now.
No good.
No.
What scares people is the possibility of clashes between rival militias, who may try to take over these positions after the French leave. The French, however, say they have no alternative, that with other peacekeeping forces having pulled out weeks ago, and with 88 French soldiers having lost their lives here, there is nothing more the French military can do, except cut its losses and go home. Don Kladstrup, ABC News, Beirut.
That French withdrawal coincided with heavy fighting along the Green Line that separates East and West Beirut. Artillery and mortar shells pounded the suburbs of Christian East Beirut, resulting in a number of casualties. Muslim leaders, meanwhile, met in Damascus to try to prevent further bloody clashes in Beirut once the French troops have withdrawn.
The party the office was throwing for the personal computer was getting a little dull. It seemed compatibility was the problem, until one latecomer arrived with a stunning solution, the Sperry PC. It ran all IBM-compatible software and communicated with something a lot of people had in common, the main computer, Sperry's, IBM's, or both. The Sperry PC. It's what the personal computer should have been in the first place.
Today, competition is tougher than ever. With thousands of new businesses opening, you have to be smarter than the people down the street. You need smarter ways to manage your cash flow, inventory,
We'll ship it by air.
customer relations.
Just use our 800 number.
By tailoring AT&T Watts and 800 service in ways you never thought of, you can handle the competition wherever it comes from. AT&T Communications.
Peter Jennings reports from the Mideast on the 5th anniversary of the Camp David Accord. Was anything really accomplished? Monday, watch ABC's World News Tonight.
On the island of Hawaii, there's a spectacle which is commanding the attention of thousands of people for miles around. With only about an hour's warning, a giant volcano erupted, fortunately in an isolated area of the island. Steve Taylor reports.
A curtain of fire rose over the world's largest active volcano, sending fountains of liquid rock as high as 300 feet into the air. It was Mauna Loa's first eruption since 1975, and the lava flows were 4 miles long by the middle of the afternoon. It began with a swarm of small earthquakes shortly after midnight Hawaiian time. The lava fountains first appeared in an old crater near the 13,000-foot summit, then spread down a fissure line along the slope. Officials said there was no danger to populated areas. The nearest development is about 40 miles away across a barren region of old lava flows. Scientists are calling the Mauna Loa eruption major because it is putting out more than 1 million cubic meters of lava every hour. But apparently there is no threat to life. Civil Defense said there were a few campers on the mountain, but outside the danger zone. Steve Taylor, ABC News.
And that's our report for tonight. Steve Bell and Kathleen Sullivan will have tomorrow's first news on World News This Morning, followed by Good Morning America. I'm Tom Gerald. For all here at ABC News, good night.
From Washington, this has been the Weekend Report. The Weekend Report is a presentation of ABC News.
Monday,
You know how to dance?
Automan becomes a high-voltage stripper.
Say it ain't so.
Then a cop's wife fights to expose a corrupt police force.
Please don't do this.
Patty Dugaston, best-kept secret.
Tomorrow, all starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain. Stay tuned for the Channel 7 late night movie, Louis Armstrong, Chicago Style, starring Ben Vereen. Next.
Jackson.
Louis?
Yeah, it's me. It's me.
I was just sitting here.
Uh-huh.
I was sitting here waiting.
Waiting for who?
For Cleveland called. Wanted me to meet him here. Cleveland. Waiting for Cleveland.
This is the world of Estee Lauder, filled with glamorous times. And now she has a free gift for you. 5 of her famous beauty products, including Luscious Cream Mascara, the mascara the Estee Lauder woman is wearing. This $20 value is yours free with any Estee Lauder purchase of $7.50 or more. How great to have Estee Lauder treat you to Estee Lauder. This Estee Lauder gift is yours through April 7th exclusively at iMagnin.
This 8-ounce piece of metal is the amazing Mitsubishi Turbine Impeller, the heart of the Mitsubishi Tredia Turbo sedan. Road and Track calls the Tredia Turbo straight-line performance nothing short of amazing. AutoWeek says it has a distinct sports car feel. Car and Driver calls it a pocket rocket with plenty of power on tap. At $89.89, the Mitsubishi Tredia Turbo takes you where you've never been before.
On Channel 7 Speak Freely, views expressed are those of the guest speaker.
Everybody wants safe, healthy food for themselves and family. Yet on February 14th, the Food and Drug Administration approved a proposal that would permit manufacturers and food processors to use radiation as a preservative on fresh fruits and vegetables. The effects of radiated food on humans after years of consuming it is unknown. I'm asking for your help in preventing radiation from being used on our food. I strongly believe this issue is too important for consumers to ignore. Your letters can be sent to the Food and Drug Administration, 5600 Fishers Lane, Room 462, Rockville, Maryland, 20857. Your comments must be in by the FDA's deadline of April 16. Thank you.
Speak freely on issues of public interest. Write to us at Channel 7. Channel 7, KGO-TV, San Francisco.
Tonight on Channel 7's late-night movie, Fighting Bigotry and Murder Incorporated, Louis Satchmo Armstrong survives to become a legend. Louis Armstrong, Chicago style.
Its beauty isn't merely cosmetic. Cougar. Its very shape uses the air to help hug the road. Aircraft-inspired doors help eliminate wind noise. As you drive, a computer adjusts the engine, the 1984 Mercury Cougar. Even from a coldly rational perspective, it's beautiful. Mercury Cougar, a more enlightened approach.
Most people can't help but help themselves to the most delicious brownies in the world, Duncan Hines. Bet you can't help but help yourself to the most delicious brownies in the world, Duncan Hines.
Of the leading mixes, Duncan Hines batter is the most smooth and creamy, which makes the most delicious the Moist Delicious brownies.
So go ahead and help yourself. You know you gotta help yourself, so go ahead and help yourself to the most delicious brownies in the world,
Duncan Hines.
Saturday, March 31st at 7:30 a.m. Overnight campers welcome Tri-City's largest ever great outdoor sale. Save on tents, sleeping bags, coolers, stoves, lanterns, water skis, vests, hydro slides, guns, rods and reels, marine accessories, bicycles, exercise equipment, and much more. It all starts March 31st, but for right now, we need the room, so we're having our Going, Gone sale. Save at least 1/2 off all snow ski items. This final reduction of the season saves you at least 1/2 off original prices for getting it Going, Gone. So if you can't come to Tri-City, we'll bring it to you. Call 651-9600. We'll ship to you, satisfaction guaranteed.
Do you bake with margarine? Then you should know about new Butter Flavor Crisco. Butter Flavor Crisco makes cakes rise higher. You can see the difference. But more important, Butter Flavor Crisco gives baked foods more butter flavor than margarine. A flavor so rich, there's only one word for it.
Butter.
Yeah, that's our word for it. New Butter Flavor Crisco makes baking with margarine obsolete. Now there are 2 great Criscos.
Now, DHL Express delivers the U.S. for Ted Turner.
My cable network keeps America ahead with 24-hour news. And DHL keeps me ahead with time-critical deliveries overnight in the U.S. DHL is the #1 air courier worldwide, making more on-time deliveries to more places around the world than anybody. I want my Braves to deliver like that.
DHL, next best thing to taking it there yourself. For pickup, call 415-697-9025.
Nothing beats a Stouffer's pizza. Luscious toppings on a French bread crust so crispy brown. All those great ingredients. It's so easy to pick up, but so hard to put down. Help yourself, help yourself, help yourself to Stouffer's pizza. Real cheese toppings, yes indeed. Just one hand is all you need. Help yourself, help yourself, help yourself to Stouffer's pizza. Help yourself to Stouffer's pizza.
Sir Monty Ford is co-sponsored the 1984 San Francisco Special Olympics.
That's right, Adley. We're donating a portion of every March sale.
Plus, we're raffling this 65 Mustang for Special Olympics.
During our Special Olympics sell-a-thon, $84 delivers Escorts, Tempos, and T-Birds. Many used cars are available for $199 down and $99 per month.
Help us, help them.
So, what are you waiting for?
We want to be your car dealer at Sarah Monty Ford.
The first time ever I saw your face.
Keep the look he first fell in love with. Let Oil of Olay replenish the precious fluids that help your skin stay soft and young-looking. Discover how cool, light, and greaseless Oil of Olay feels. How much more radiant your skin can be.
Your face, your face.
Oil of Olay. It can help keep you looking younger, too.
Join us next week on Channel 7's Late Night Movie for Sophia Loren and Omar Sharif, starring in More Than a Miracle.
Stand up, America. Mannington's JT88 Never Wax Floors can get you back on your feet. A no-wax floor didn't mean no work. It needed special dressing. Now there's JT88 Never Wax, the unique wear layer that keeps floors shining with no special dressings. So, stand up, America, with a Mannington JT88 Never Wax Floor. Now, the Aristocon and Duracon collections are on sale at 20% off.
Few Olympic athletes are past 30, but Al Orta won his first of 4 gold medals 28 years ago. Today he's 47 and going for his 5th. 7-Eleven is a major sponsor of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team, giving great athletes like Al Orta the freedom to prepare for the most important moment of their lives.
So what if I'm twice as old? I'll just go twice as hard.
7-Eleven. The dream begins with freedom.
The first name in oranges is now the last word in orange juice. Sun-kissed orange juice. The first orange juice good enough to be called sun-kissed.
Break free and feel. Feel how splendid you are with the fragrance created by Gloria Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, a rich, expressive fragrance that reveals to the world just how splendid you are. Vanderbilt, let it release the splendor of you. Vanderbilt.
KGO-TV, Channel 7, San Francisco.
Good morning. This is Lou Hurley in the KGO Jetcopter. Hope you're getting off to a smooth start this morning. Right now, we're over the East Bay looking down at a stall in the center lane of westbound 24 that's got traffic backed up from the MacArthur Maze to the Broadway on-ramp. So if you have a shortcut or a secret route to get to work, now's the time to use it. And if you're one of those lucky stiffs who doesn't have any place important to get to this morning, relax, sit back, and have another cup of coffee. And now here's Lynn Durling in the KGO traffic plane.
I hate to say it, Lou, but we're looking...
Skilled hands like Ed Bennett's helped shape San Francisco. But now over 15,000 like him are out of work. You can help them and yourself through the Job Training Partnership. It has funds to help any employer recruit and retrain what could be the best pair of hands you ever hired. Don't let that skill go to waste. Call 861-JOBS.
George and Mary Burns are enjoying an elegant dinner on the money they saved buying Mary's contacts at Bay Area Vision Centers. The Harpers went to the ball game with the money they saved on Mindy's eyeglasses. At Bay Area Vision Centers, you'll receive professional care from a doctor, quality products, and reasonable prices. Examinations begin at only $15. Can you think of what you'd buy with the money you'll save at Bay Area Vision Centers? See your white pages for a location near you.
Here comes the sun. Aries and Daytonas, those hot sun cars, are at Hayward Dodge and Dodge Country in San Jose. And this weekend, you can purchase this front-wheel drive Aries or this hot Daytona from $79.79 or just $175 a month. We have over 1,000 cars in inventory, and they are ready for immediate delivery. But this weekend only, Aries and Daytonas from $79.79 or $175 a month. So don't miss the sun. It's hot at Hayward Dodge and Dodge Country in San Jose.
They've still got the magic. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward on 2020 Thursday.
Next on Channel 7 News tonight, a Red Army defector reveals Soviet assassination squads and their targets. And a sophisticated Soviet spy ship is now off Southern California and a key Navy test site.
The Salvadoran elections sink into chaos and confusion. The president of France is wined and dined at a city hall soiree, and the Big Island's biggest volcano shudders and spurts a massive lava flow. I'm Suzanne Saunders with Gary Rebstock, Bob Marshall, and Martin Wyatt. Next on Channel 7 News tonight.
I have a confession to make. I'm considered a generous host, but with these Mauna Loa macadamia nuts, I find my generosity sorely tested. These incomparable Hawaiian nuts are so delicately crunchy, so creamy smooth, so subtly exotic, they're almost too good to share.
Mauna Loa macadamias, may I?
Very well.
John, you're so generous.
I know.
Mauna Loa macadamia nuts from Hawaii, almost too good to share.
There is a revolution on the American road, led by Dodge. The latest evidence, Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. Backed by standard 550 protection. Turbocharged, fuel-injected, front-wheel drive. The performance-bred Dodge Daytona Turbo Z.
We are Dodge, an American revolution.
Dodge, best built, best backed American cars.
You have to go a long way to find someone who has tasted more egg rolls than I have, all the way to China. These are Chungking egg rolls. Observe wise man enjoying one. Very tasty, delicious, stuffed full of oriental filling. Mmm, scrumptious. Chungking is expert at making egg rolls. I am expert at eating them.
If you know Chinese food, you'll love Chungking.
Tony Geary and Candace Bergen this week on AM. Now, Channel 7 News tonight.
Good evening, everyone. A Red Army defector says that the Soviet Union has assassination squads with specific orders to kill Western leaders if there is a war between the superpowers. In the current issue of Military Review, a U.S. Army magazine, the Soviet defector is quoted as saying the pre-assigned assassination missions have as their targets political leaders, military leaders, and key military bases of the Western world. Soviet KGB agents and GRU special forces would also take aim at nuclear installations throughout Western and North America. They are prepared also to attack NATO command centers and disrupt communication systems. The defector was an officer in the Red Army. He says some of the potential assassins have already visited target areas in the West through invitations to sporting events, which is probably why the U.S. has been tough with the Russians when issuing visas for the summer's Olympics in Los Angeles. And right now, off the Southern California coast, the Soviets' most sophisticated spy ship is eavesdropping 32 miles west of San Clemente. The Soviet ship has been identified as 344-foot Balzam. Photographs of the Balzam show a pair of radar and satellite domes. U.S. officials say the Russian ship is undoubtedly monitoring a Navy test site above and below water and possibly monitoring civilian computer and communications networks. And U.S. officials add there is not much we can do about it. The balsam is legal in international waters. Gary?
Refusing to discuss politics of any sort, French President Francois Mitterrand continued his visit to the Bay Area today. Though business and French-American relations are the prime reasons for this trip, today the president only wanted to enjoy himself. And Channel 7's Tony Russomanno was there as he played host to a few friends.
It was French champagne and hors d'oeuvres prepared by Northern California French chefs, served amid one of the country's largest collections of exclusively French art, in a building that is as close as you can get to Paris and still be in San Francisco. French President Francois Mitterrand threw the party for 1,500 of the Bay Area's 40,000 French Americans at San Francisco's Palace of the Legion of Honor, a copy of an 18th century Parisian mansion. Mitterrand said he wanted to see how his own countrymen are getting along so far from home. He brought with him the spirit of the motherland, and though he spoke only French, his nationalistic pride needed no translation. The French community responded with affection, and San Franciscans in general warmed to Mitterrand's visit. Mayor Feinstein welcomed the socialist French president with a reception at City Hall, presenting him with the key to the city, as several hundred invited guests sipped California wine and listened to the music of violinist Isaac Stern and the 16th Army Band. Through all the pageantry, ABC News chief foreign correspondent Pierre Salinger, traveling with the Mitterrand party, says the French leader's meetings with President Reagan earlier this week in Washington served an important diplomatic function.
Some people in Washington call them the odd couple, this conservative American president and the socialist French president, and yet they have developed a mutual respect for each other, mainly because of the admiration President Reagan has for the very tough position that President Mitterrand has taken on the Euro missile question, on the Atlantic Alliance, and now, with the deployment of the missiles already accomplished, President Mitterrand is considering going to the Soviet Union later this year. Now, if he had said that 3 years ago, the Reagan administration would have been very concerned about a socialist president going to Moscow. But now, with the relationship that has developed between President Reagan and President Mitterrand, it is not a concern to them because they're on the same wavelength on East-West relations.
Well, today was a day of pomp and protocol. President Mitterrand will spend most of tomorrow visiting with business leaders in the field of high technology. He'll visit UC Berkeley and Stanford to get a feel for, as he put it, how Americans produce, create, and work. At San Francisco City Hall, Tony Russomanno, Channel 7 News Tonight.
And while in the East Bay at UC Berkeley tomorrow, President Mitterrand will meet with Governor Deukmejian. The French have already begun pulling out of Beirut tonight. It will take about a week for them to pack up and load everything onto ships. Then, since the Americans and Italians have already gone, all the foreign peacekeeping troops will be out of Lebanon. The 1,250 French soldiers have been in Beirut for 18 months, and 88 of them have been killed there. And violence has kept some people from the polls today in El Salvador. Even though they promised not to, guerrillas who boycotted the election opened fire in some towns. But it was the system itself that kept most people from voting, simply because it was so confusing. Even election officials couldn't tell many voters where their proper polling place was. And that may be the reason for the surprise outcome so far. With only the early returns in, neither liberal Jose Napoleon Duarte nor far-right leader Roberto Dubois has the lead. The front-runner right now, by a slim margin, is conservative candidate Jose Guerrero. Today.
Alameda County sheriffs are working on a composite drawing tonight of a possible suspect in the murder of 2 Livermore women. Channel 7's Susan Kennedy says neighbors of the victims saw a mysterious hiker in that area.
Shelley Siegel and Aaron King were last seen alive on Wednesday, feeding the horses on the Sundial Ranch. It was Friday when Siegel's husband found them both in the trailer. They had been shot to death. Alameda County Sheriff deputies say they still don't have any suspects, but they are looking for a hiker who was spotted in the secluded area by other ranchers.
He was a young man, and he had jeans on and a green jacket and a full beard and real curly hair.
But nobody that you've ever seen before?
No, it's no one I'd ever seen in the area.
It's not known if the hiker was involved in the double homicide in this remote area of Livermore. But the shock and disbelief are still being expressed by the people who knew Shelley Siegel.
I was dumbfounded and very upset. We all were. We learned of it yesterday, and we had a moment of silence here at the show for her, and the whole show has been very subdued. She wouldn't have wanted us to stop it, I'm sure. but it isn't the same without her, I'll tell you that.
Shelley Siegel was supposed to have ridden in this dressage show today. She was not only an accomplished rider, but she was also a well-respected international judge. In Nicasio, Susan Kennedy, Channel 7 News Tonight.
And the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office is also trying to solve a mysterious death tonight. An anonymous phone call led police to this old cottage, and underneath, they found the body of 25-year-old Mark Rasmussen of Guerneville. He has been missing for almost 2 years, since July of '82. So far, authorities have no clues or witnesses. This area near the small town of Duncan's Mills has few people, and most of the houses are vacation homes occupied only on weekends in the summer. The search for the missing Kevin Collins is getting a big boost from the citizens of Stockton tonight. The Game Center Arcade has been giving 3 hours of uninterrupted play for a $5 donation. That donation to help find the 10-year-old youngster who disappeared at a San Francisco bus stop 6 weeks ago. His aunt helped to organize that drive in Stockton, and she explained why she's sure Kevin's still alive.
Usually call it gut feeling. It just feels like he still is. You know, just everybody feels the same way, that he is still alive and he's out there somewhere, and we will find him.
I feel pretty bad for him, and I hope they find him.
Well, we all hope so. Part of the money they raise will go to support the Kevin Collins hotline. That number is 567-HELP. 567-HELP for the hotline, if you can help. Gary?
All of this year's batch of Girl Scout cookies in the St. Louis area are being recalled tonight. The St. Louis Girl Scout Council decided to offer refunds for those returned cookies as well after needles and other foreign objects were found in some boxes. The recalled cookies are being x-rayed to check for any foreign objects. The examination is costing the council $1 million. A Scout spokesperson said it appeared that the cookies were tampered with before they came into the area. Foreign objects have also been found in cookies in Belfast, Maine, and there was one case, as we reported to you earlier this past week, in San Francisco. Girl Scout officials are urging people to check cookie packages very carefully for any evidence of tampering, and then if they find it, report it immediately to the police. The Long Beach airport is back to normal tonight after being partially evacuated by a bomb scare. The police came to check out a mysterious package found in a restroom. Their dog, who was supposed to sniff out explosives, didn't find anything, so the officers opened the package and found cheese. That's all. The dog didn't even get any for his efforts. His handlers say they don't want him to associate those kinds of packages with anything good.
Next on Channel 7 News tonight, a massive river of molten rock is spreading across the slopes of Mauna Loa.
Just sit in one. It's a moving experience. You'll notice a climate control system so advanced it can change the interior air 4 times a minute. A stereo system so sophisticated it has its own graphic equalizer. A list of standard features so long the window sticker had to be enlarged to accommodate them. But drive one, and you'll never want to just sit in one again. The 760 GLE by Volvo. One of the world's great cars, regardless of price.
There's only one bank system in this country that's all over the West. Only one bank that gives you cash access at offices in all 13 western states. And now not only lets you get to your money across the West, but also across the country with Cirrus Automated Tellers. One bank that's there with your money when and where you need your money. From coast to coast, 24 hours a day. One bank, First Interstate Bank. Think about it. First Interstate Bank, an official sponsor of the 1984 Olympics.
Stepping in the right direction. Stepping out in style. Stepping to the beat. And standing out a mile. Beam, the pantyhose from France. Always one step ahead. Available at fine stores everywhere.
Through all the weeks of all the years, there's always Newsweek, defining the world, celebrating the world, exploring the world.
The world's largest active volcano is acting up tonight. That is Mauna Loa on the island of Hawaii. Mauna Loa hasn't erupted in almost 9 years, but when this volcano erupts, it really blows its top. It is now producing about 2 million cubic meters of lava an hour, and that is 10 times the flow from Kilauea. Although no one has been threatened by the lava flow so far, the civil defense officials there are keeping a close watch on the situation. That's because the lava flow is erratic. It flows first in one direction and then quickly changes direction, and it could push all the way down to Hilo, the largest city on the island. And nature went on an erratic rampage in southern Alabama late today. A tornado slammed into Jackson and demolished an academy there, but miraculously, the twister simply jumped over the school's gymnasium, and that's where the senior prom was going on, and no one was hurt. One student said it was like being in a garbage can with the lid on and somebody banging on the outside.
A victory tonight for Gary Hart in the Montana caucuses. So the Colorado Senator is on the rebound following setbacks yesterday in Kansas and Virginia. Officials say that Hart will get 11 of the 19 delegates at stake in Montana. Walter Mondale will receive 8. Jesse Jackson, none, because he got less than 20% of the vote. Mondale's overall delegate count is 673 now, far ahead of Gary Hart's count of 393. But Hart is hoping to change all that by the time he reaches San Francisco in July. He and Mondale both campaigned heavily in New York today, preparing for the crucial New York primary, April 3rd. Mondale reached out toward Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition, telling black churchgoers in Harlem that President Reagan's policies hurt the young and poor. Gary Hart wooed the Irish vote in Queens, and Reverend Jackson, calling himself the only true leftist in the campaign, said he'll be spending several nights in the ghetto housing projects, where he feels his strongest support.
There are distinctions, and I shall keep drawing them until they get the point and make the necessary adjustment. If they want to raise the military budget over and against where Reagan has already raised it, and not focus on the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and the unnecessary systems, then they are, in fact, extensions of an old order.
Next up is the Connecticut primary with 52 delegates pending. Gary Hart is expected to win there, which would give him all 6 of the New England states, but it's still an uphill battle for him. Gary?
In other political news, one presidential candidate you're not likely to hear much about, even though he's sort of local, Ray Liebenberg of Santa Cruz. Liebenberg admits that he has gone out on a limb, but he's used to that. You see, he's a tree topper. And yes, this is no joke, he is actually running for the presidency. So far, he hasn't been challenged to a debate by any of the other contenders, but that doesn't bother Ray. He says that winning isn't everything.
Standing a chance has no bearing to running. You run for an ideal. I'm willing to put up, and I don't want to necessarily shut up.
And with that philosophy, Liebenberg set out on the campaign trail. He doesn't even expect the support of the Birch Society, but he still considers himself presidential timber. And our apologies to loggers everywhere for that.
We should. Next on Channel 7 News tonight, Bob Marshall will be here with the Monday forecast and a look at what the Dirty Ridge has in store for us.
Hello, I'm the Wang PC, and I'd like to go head-to-head with this guy or any other leading PC. I make all the best software run better because I'm more powerful. And with Wang word processing, voice, and even image processing, I'm head and shoulders above the rest. But I don't mean to knock the competition. You see, I may be more competitive, but I'm also very compatible. Because I'm the office automation PC from Wang.
Every year, the Cooper brothers of North Post, Alaska stock up on rich, hearty coffee for the long, cold winter. Each spends the same amount. But while Bud buys ordinary coffee, Ed buys Hills Brothers High Yield. It's specially roasted to give him more delicious coffee for his money. So long about February, while Ed's still enjoying his High Yield, Bud runs out. Hello, Ed?
Nope.
Taste Hills Brothers High Yield. More delicious coffee for your money.
What's black and white? Smooth, but rocky, unpredictable, colorful, mysterious, but playful, and very, very big.
The big island of Hawaii. There's no place like it on Earth, and there's no airline that can take you there like United.
Let the friendly skies bring the big island alive.
How about some great seafood tonight, honey?
I'm kind of tired. I don't feel like going out tonight.
We don't have to. Now there's Gorton's new light recipe seafood entrees, and all but one's under 300 calories.
Introducing new Gorton's Light Recipe seafood entrees. Authentic dishes like delicious filet of fish Divan, filet of fish Florentine, plus many others, all single servings.
Hey, I like this restaurant.
Nobody does it just like Gorton's.
Trust the Gorton's fishermen.
The San Francisco Opera House was not exactly ringing with the sounds of a Puccini aria. Tonight's performance was billed as a black string tie optional event. The star performer, country singer Merle Haggard. And though the dress wasn't formal, ticket prices ranged up to a hefty $50 for orchestra seats. Well, an unusual and refreshing taste of country tonight at the Opera House.
Now, that was no country hat, however, that Merle Haggard was wearing. Bob Marshall's here with the forecast now. What's all this about this dirty ridge?
Yeah, we should clarify that. Maybe it's best illustrated. You know the line of hills behind Fremont where all the smog builds up? Very dirty ridge over there.
Oh, is that what we're talking about? No.
Dirty ridge is a legitimate weather term. It refers to an elongated area of high pressure. Don't worry about it, folks.
The first one was a joke, right?
Upper level high pressure. But it's not strong enough to reroute storms or to prevent overcast and some what they call overrunning precipitation. In other words, it may be either weakening or it may be building, but it's going to let overcast and perhaps little weak systems.
All about it.
Now, we don't have time to talk about the weather. However, our high was 65 here at Channel 7. They ranged from 56 degrees at Pacifica up to 73 degrees in Danville for high readings around the Bay Area. 51 was our low. Presently, we're looking at 52. The humidity is rising, barometric pressure also. Winds are west at 9, but we've had frequent gusts of 15 in the last hour. The weather systems around the country, we usually talk about bad weather. Let's mention the areas where there was sunshine. The Northeast, the Gulf States' western side, and parts of the Mississippi Valley, and of course the southwestern desert area right back here. But otherwise, we had some severe thunderstorms with hail and drenching downpours and high winds along the east coast from New Jersey, Delaware, Virginia's down through the Carolinas, and rain scattered around that low-pressure center, which will be moving offshore, but it'll dampen the northeast a little bit. Snow amounts 1 to 2 inches, but they're expecting another 5 inches in the area around this other low-pressure center. And in the northwest corner of the country, because of overrunning precipitation over the Dirty Ridge, we had showers extending from Washington down to North California, including Eureka's 3/100 of an inch, and about 21/100 in Crescent City. The traveler's advisory here for portions of these 3 states, Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado, is for additional snow and the possibility of blowing snow. And the small craft advisory is still over coastal waters and inside the bay. It probably will be ending tonight, but we'll still have brisk breezes to up to 20, a little over 20 miles an hour tomorrow. 89, warm spot in the 48, Fort Lauderdale. 6, West Yellowstone, Montana. In our own state, 88 in Palm Springs and 17 in Truckee. Other highs around the country, and there are very few below freezing. That would include only northern Maine. Otherwise, it was, well, we see 60s up into the middle Mississippi Valley, so it was quite mild. 50s along our coast, and then 60s to 80s in the rest of our state. The satellite image will give you an idea of what we mean. Picture a ridge of high pressure just off our coast, but also look at all the overcast. Some of the system that's come over the northern end of it, but also just continued to sweep down along the west coast, and we've had a lot of higher clouds in addition to some of the lower coastal overcast during the day. It's clearing tonight, but it'll still be fairly overcast. We'll look for high temperatures, mid-60s up into the low 70s. Some overcast. There is a chance of a drizzle near the coast tonight. Partly cloudy then in the morning, but we'll have clearing to sunshine as the day goes by tomorrow. So it may not be too nice when you go to work, but when you get off, enjoy.
Bad enough to affect the commute?
Stay away from the hills in Fremont.
That drizzle was something added since 6, yeah, because of the dirty ridge. In any case, we'll move right along. So the weather may not be as warm and wonderful tomorrow as it has been the past couple of days. If you don't like it, though, just pack up and go to Bahamas. The Bahamas for the day. To save a little money, it would help if you lived in New York or New Jersey, though. You line up early in the morning like these people at the Newark Airport, and for $99, Bahamas Airlines will fly you to its namesake. You get an entire 4 glorious, fun-filled hours in the sun, That's right, 4 hours, and you're back home in time for the midnight show. That is, if you're not too sunburned to go or too bushed from the flight. The passengers, for the most part, say it's worth the money, if not just the novelty, because you can tell all your friends you spent the day in the Caribbean. That's quite a date.
Sure is. Not enough time to get a tan.
Well, you get a good start, though. You get a good red. You get a nice little burn. Martin Wise up next with all the sports, including the college tournament action. And then a pregnant gorilla gets a little maternity help from her friends.
Where'd you get this price? That's not the weekend rate you promised me.
Of course it is, sir.
No way.
Would I lie?
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive, sir.
Only National guarantees weekend rates. Just $19.95 a day or less for any car up to this Olds Cutlass, guaranteed. And if we don't deliver, you'll get $50 off your next rental. We give you national attention, and that's the truth.
Your Northern California Mazda dealers announce our Beat 5795 sale on the Mazda B2000 Sundowner. Lowest price truck in America with all these standard features. We're getting extra truck shipments, and the factory's giving us cash incentives to pass on to you. So wherever you live in Northern California, right now you can beat $57.95 by hundreds during the Beat $57.95 sale on the Mazda B2000 Sundowner. Our Beat $57.95 sale ends March 31st.
From the outside, this may look like an ordinary pillow, but it's not. Inside, there's new Codair polyester fiber fill, scientifically engineered to give pillows pleasing plumpness, resilience that lasts and lasts, built-in bounce, soft support, plus luxury like never before. Why put all that unique scientific engineering into a pillow? Sleep on it. Codair. Pillows with Codair available at fine stores.
Few people have tasted more Chinese food than I. This is Chungking Chicken Chow Mein. So delicious. Scrumptious delicacies brought to perfection in flavorful Chungking sauce. Very tasty. And let's face it, if I don't know what tastes good, who does?
If you know Chinese food, you'll love Chungking.
Time for Martin Wyatt now and all this sports. Getting down to the wire.
Down to the Final Four. And all the roads in college basketball lead to Seattle. The Final Four decided today, and really only one surprise team, that's Virginia. The two games today dominated by 7-footers who intimidate and run like 6-footers. Georgetown with Pat Ewing and Houston with Akeem Olajuwon. Now Dayton with 6'7" Ed Young, the tallest man in their starting five, had to face Ewing and company in the West. Young controlled Ewing in the first half, but no flyer could handle the Hoyas' Michael Jackson. His steal for a layup gave Georgetown a 6-point lead at the half. Jackson finished with 14. John Thompson's Hoyas are deep with talent. Now, Dayton not deep, but they have a super talent in Roosevelt Chapman. His steal and sprint down court for a circus dunk, 2 of his 13. They drew within 4. Ewing came alive in the second half. Now, watch his great athletic ability. A two-hand stuff of a lob that put Georgetown up by 8. Ewing had 15 points, 4 block shots. Georgetown known for aggressive play. Some say dirty. Now, you judge this one. Michael Graham crashing the offensive board, stuffs it in, but he'll throw a football block, bowling over a Dayton player. Kind of unnecessary. Georgetown simply owned the sky in the second half. A look at Ewing and Graham pound the boards. Finally, Graham will stuff it in. Too much for the smaller Flyers. Georgetown easy, 61-49. They're in the Final Four for the second time in 3 years. The Hoyas will face Kentucky with 7-foot Sam Bowie and 6'11" Mel Turpin. That will be a battle. In the Midwest, Wake's Carl Tacey had his team ready. They played smart, tough defense. They led Houston by 4 late in the first half. Anthony Tichy takes Rudd's pass for 2 of his 13, but Houston has Akeem the Dream. He is a force. The Dream played his best all-around game. Off the boards, he pulled down 12 rebounds. He takes this one back up for 2 of his 29 points. Olajuwon did it all. He had 3 block shots, 2 steals, and 2 assists, and he mopped up the floor. Houston coach Guy Lewis got a big second half from Michael Young. He scored 13 of his 15 points in the second half, 2 off the steal and dunk. Houston held off Wake 68-63. Cougars head to the Final Four for the 3rd straight year. They'll face the lone surprise team, and that is, of course, Virginia. With the NBA on the verge of its championship playoffs, the Warriors, after last night's loss to Portland, have a tough road ahead. They're tied with the Phoenix for the West Final playoff spot with 11 games left, but 7 of their games are on the road beginning Tuesday in San Antonio. Boston has the best record in the league, but Philadelphia showed today they're going to challenge the Celtics for the East title in the playoffs. Moses Malone just went wild. The Celtics playing without center Robert Parrish. Malone poured in 32 points. He yanked down a league-high 27 rebounds. He was unstoppable. And look at him go to the board. Larry Bird picked up the slack for the Celtics. Watch as you'll see an incredible jumper by Bird that ties the game at 4 overtime. Bird with 33 points, but the Sixers pull away in the second extra period for a 119-114 win. You know, today's Bonnie Bell 10K run was a sight to see. With perfect weather, as expected, some 5,000 women entered. Now, that means a Calgary charge at the start. This is the third largest women's road race in the world. Some top runners entered. Jeannie Johnson of Las Vegas won it in 33 minutes, 44 seconds. Olympic marathon hopeful Nancy Dietz was second. More importantly for her, she was under her stated goal of 34 minutes as a tune-up for the Olympic trials. Across the bay, the Quakes closed the regular indoor soccer season with a win. Steve Jungle with one of his 3 goals there to make it 5-3 over Tulsa. The Quakes earned an 8-6 win. Jungle leads the league in every scoring category. They will open the playoffs in San Diego on March 29th. There were some record-breaking efforts in United States Football League action today. In the Superdome, they almost blew up the scoreboard. New Orleans, behind Johnny Walton's 4 touchdown passes, topped Chicago 41-35 in overtime. Now, the winless Blitz played their best game to date. When Buford Jordan fumbled, safety Mike Fox scooped up the ball, and he set sail for a USFL record 92 yards with a touchdown. Now, this game just seesawed back and forth. Chicago led 32-28 late, but Breaker quarterback Johnny Walton had the hot hand. He threw for a record 440 yards. Now, this 10-yard bullet to Charlie Smith tied it with 1:30 left, at least put them ahead. Chicago tied it in overtime, but Walton hit his 4th touchdown pass. New Orleans with their 5th win. New Jersey, Herschel Walker came alive. He's tied a USFL record with 4 touchdowns. That a 9-yard run. He rushed for 116 record 92 yards with a touchdown. Now, this game just seesawed back and forth. Chicago led 32-28 late, but Breaker quarterback Johnny Walton had the hot hand. He threw for a record 440 yards. Now, this 10-yard bullet to Charlie Smith tied it with 1:30 left, at least put them ahead. Chicago tied it in overtime, but Walton hit his 4th touchdown pass. New Orleans with their 5th win. New Jersey, Herschel Walker came alive. He's tied a USFL record with 4 touchdowns. That a 9-yard run. He rushed for 116 yards. The Generals rout Washington 43-6. The LA Express lost their 3rd straight at home. This is the play of the game for Jacksonville. Former LSU star Willie McClendon took a swing pass, and he'll just run through tacklers. He goes 58 billion yards for the touchdown. Jacksonville tops LA 13-7. I guess the Express are waiting for quarterback Steve Young to make his debut. That'll be next week. Denver on top in the Pacific Division, down Memphis 28-24. A couple of first-time winners on both the ladies and men's pro golf stops. Betsy King ended 7 years of frustration as she how would you say that? As she finished the tournament.
Yes, a little round ball in the
she won the Kemper Open by 3, and it was Bob Eastwood taking the New Orleans Open by 3 shots also. Both the Giants and A's went in Cactus League play. Giants 4-3 over the Cubs. Mac Venable with a homer. The A's 5-3 over Cleveland.
I know what you mean. It's so difficult to get that little white ball in there. You know, can you relate it to people?
I was going to say 7 years of frustration. What was that?
She hadn't won in 7 years, but she's always been close.
Okay.
She was always up in the money.
She did it now.
Yeah.
Okay, wrapping up tonight. Most people think that humans are the only ones who have to take classes to prepare for the birth of a baby. But tonight in Melbourne, Australia, 2 people are conducting a class in parenting that's probably the only one of its kind in the world. 2 keepers in the Melbourne Zoo are preparing Yushka, the gorilla, to be a mother. Officials say that captive gorillas sometimes abandon their young because they get frightened by the noise the baby makes. So the zookeepers are showing Yushka how to feed her new offspring, and they've even provided a young baby rabbit to act as a sort of training infant. Of course, they have to be careful with the rabbit, or Yushka may end up giving her new baby a steady diet of carrots. Probably the least of their worries.
Yushka didn't look too gentle there, but hopefully she's got some more training coming up.
Well, she can get away with whatever she wants. The gorillas are too strong. That's the news right up to the moment tonight. Thank you for staying up late with us.
And join us once again tomorrow for Channel 7 News at 5, 6, and 11. ABC's Weekend Report is next. From all of us at Channel 7, have a good night.
How'd you like to get your body back into shape and keep it that way? At your YMCA, you can give yourself a lift. Learn to be flexible. Have your day in court. Pool your efforts. Make a net gain. Stay on the right track. Wheel a deal. And take a load off your mind. Whether you're in your teens, in your prime, or in your golden years, let the staff of experts at your local Y help you get back into shape. Call 397-YMCA.
Sedans that tour, tops that come down, and the forgotten pleasures of the American road. The Dodge Series 600, standard 550 protection, front-wheel drive, and an end to the notion that certain kinds of cars can only be imported. Dodge Series 600, America's touring cars. Dodge, best built, best backed American cars.
Take your case to the People's Court tomorrow at 7:30.